Welcome to the deep dive. We've got some really fascinating material you shared, and a theme that really stood out was this connection between the mind and the body. So today we're going to explore that link, focusing specifically on the work of Louise Hay.
That's right. Yeah, the sources you sent over really get into Hay's core idea that, our thoughts, our beliefs, they can have a real tangible impact on our physical health. We're going to unpack that perspective.
And one of the main sources was Hay's book, Heal Your Body. It's quite something that actually lists out specific physical issues.
Yeah, the list.
And connects them to potential mental or emotional patterns. And then it offers these new thought patterns for healing.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive really is to get a handle on Hay's fundamental philosophy here, this mind-body link. We'll look at her main ideas and then maybe dive into some specific examples from that list to see how she thought it all worked.
Okay, so kicking things off, the absolute core of Louise Hay's philosophy seems to be this, pretty powerful idea. What we think about ourselves consistently becomes our reality, our truth. She really puts the responsibility on us, suggesting we're responsible for, everything in our lives, the good stuff, the not so good stuff, and it all comes back to our thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, and what's really striking is her focus on those negative thought patterns. She flags things like resentment, criticism, guilt. She sees these as incredibly damaging.
Right.
In her writing, in some points of my philosophy, she even suggests that releasing resentment could potentially dissolve cancer.
Wow, that's a very strong claim.
It is. It really underscores just how much influence she believed our emotional state has on our physical bodies.
So where do these negative patterns actually come from, according to Hay?
Well, she suggests a lot of them are learned, often really early on in childhood. Picked up from how adults around us reacted, the whole emotional atmosphere of home. Things like hearing you never do anything right over and over.
Or feeling like you're just a bad person.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see how that could stick.
Exactly. But, and this is important, she's very clear about not blaming our parents.
Oh, interesting. Why is that?
Her view is that they could only teach what they knew, what they themselves believed. It's a more compassionate take, suggesting everyone's just doing their best with their own understanding at the time.
That makes sense. And that kind of leads into this idea she has of mental house cleaning, doesn't it?
It does. It's this process of consciously looking at the thoughts and beliefs that have been maybe unconsciously running our lives.
Like digging them up?
Pretty much. She even has this exercise where you list the negative things your parents said about you. It sounds a bit intense, maybe.
Yeah, a little.
But the point is just to bring those old messages into awareness. That's the first step, right? Seeing the pattern.
Okay. Becoming aware. Yeah. And central to doing that, she says, it is safe to look within.
Exactly. That's like a foundational belief for her. Approaching yourself with curiosity, not fear or judgment, to understand the roots of whatever challenges you're facing, physical or emotional.
She also talks about paying attention to I should statements. How does that fit in?
Yes. Those shoulds can apparently reveal a lot about our limiting beliefs. The exercise is simple. List things you feel you should do or be.
Okay.
Then she suggests replacing should with could. It seems small, but
it shifts the feeling.
Right. It moves you from obligation and maybe guilt towards choice and possibility. It's about reclaiming a sense of agency, really.
Agency, okay. And then there's the mirror exercise. That seems to be a big one for her.
Oh, definitely. It's a core practice. It's all about building self-acceptance, self-love. You literally look yourself in the eye in the mirror and say positive things like, I love and accept you.
Sounds straightforward.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit awkward.
It can be. For many people, it brings up a surprising amount of resistance, but it's a direct way to confront that negative inner voice.
Which brings us right to resistance itself. Hay talks about that too, right?
Yeah.
That we naturally resist change.
She does. She points out how it shows up maybe non-verbally, like changing the subject, procrastinating, or through those deeper beliefs we hold. I'm too old. I'm not smart enough. Things will never change. Those core assumptions can be huge blocks.
So recognizing that resistance is part of the process.
Exactly. It's normal. Often it means you're actually getting somewhere significant. And again, awareness is key. You can't shift something if you don't even realize you're resisting it.
Okay, so awareness is step one. How does Hay suggest we actually make the changes? What are the how-tos?
Well, she lays out a few key principles. First, nurturing a genuine willingness to let go of old patterns. You have to want to.
Right.
Second, learning to consciously manage your mind. paying more attention to your thoughts, choosing different ones.
Yeah.
And third, forgiveness. This is huge for Hay. Forgiving yourself, forgiving others. She sees it as essential for releasing the past.
And she mentioned something interesting, that things might seem to get worse before they get better when you start letting go.
Yeah, she does observe that. It's not necessarily a step back, more like things are getting stirred up as the change begins, a sign that the process is underway.
How do you facilitate that letting go?
She suggests a specific exercise involving relaxation, getting calm, and then consciously using affirmations, those positive statements, to counter the negative beliefs you're working on.
And she really stresses not letting the past dictate the present, doesn't she?
Absolutely. The past is done, can't change it. The power, she says, is always in the present moment. That's where we create our future.
To deal with that past stuff, though, she has a forgiveness exercise.
Yes. It can be done with another person or just by yourself. It's about consciously choosing to release resentment towards someone or even yourself.
And for self-love, there's a visualization.
The inner child visualization, yeah. Connecting with yourself as a child, offering that child love, comfort.
Yeah.
It's about healing old wounds and fostering inner tenderness.
So once you start clearing out the old stuff, what's next? Building the new.
Exactly. Shifting the focus. Instead of dwelling on what you don't want, you consciously put your energy towards what you do want to create.
Oh.
Well, one practical way is taking those negative lists we talked about earlier, the parental messages, the shoulds, and actively flipping them into positive affirmations.
So it's a multi-pronged approach.
Very much so.
Okay.
Hay advocates for tackling change on all levels, spiritual, like meditation, mental with affirmations and maybe workshops, emotional healing, and physical too, like body work or exercise. It's holistic.
And it's not just a one-off fix, I gather.
Definitely not. She emphasizes daily work, like any skill you need practice, consistent effort.
What does that look like?
Things like making gratitude a habit, using your affirmations regularly, meditating daily, even for a few minutes. It reinforces the new pathways.
She also has this principle. Do not believe in limitations.
Yeah, challenging those boundaries we often just accept about ourselves. And a really fundamental practice she recommends ties into this. Just repeatedly affirming simply, I love myself.
Okay, so those are the core ideas, but then she applies them to specific life areas, which makes it really concrete. Let's touch on those. Relationships, for example.
Right. Her basic idea there is that we attract relationships that reflect what we believe we deserve. So if you want different relationships, the work starts inside, changing your beliefs about your own worthiness.
So changing yourself changes the relationship dynamic.
That's the idea, yeah. You shift your internal patterns and how you interact with others, and what you attract starts to shift too.
What about work? How do these ideas apply there?
Well, she suggests blessing your current job with love, even if it's not perfect.
Interesting.
And using affirmations to improve your experience. Basically, believing your attitude and thoughts can genuinely influence your work life, the interactions, the opportunities.
And success, how does she define that? It's not just about climbing the ladder, is it?
Not entirely. She sees success more as learning and growing from every experience, good or bad. And also, importantly, setting achievable standards for yourself, not impossible ones that just lead to feeling like a failure.
Makes sense. Then there's prosperity. Money is often a sticky subject.
It is. Hay tackles those common limiting beliefs. Money is scarce. I don't deserve wealth. She stresses being open to receiving abundance in all forms.
Not just cash.
Exactly. And recognizing the prosperity already present. She even gives practical advice like decluttering your physical space, make room for the new as a way to energetically invite more in.
Okay, now let's get to the really central theme for us today, the one that sparked this whole dive. The body.
Right. This is where her mind-body connection idea comes into sharp focus. Hay firmly believed that illness is essentially a mirror.
A mirror.
Reflecting our inner thoughts, our long-held beliefs. She stated that every single cell in our body responds to every thought we think and word we speak.
That's a profound statement.
It really is. It posits a very direct link between our mental landscape and our physical health.
And this is where the list from Heal Your Body comes in. We should stress, this is her interpretation of these links.
Absolutely. It's one perspective offered as a tool for self-reflection, not as medical fact.
Right. But it offers some fascinating potential connections to consider. Should we look at a few examples?
Yeah, let's do that. It illustrates the concept well. Where should we start?
How about headaches? A common one. What's Hayes' take?
She suggests headaches can represent invalidating the self, feeling criticized, or criticizing yourself.
Okay. And the new thought pattern.
I love and approve of myself I see myself and what I do with eyes of love. I am safe. It's about self-acceptance counteracting that self-invalidation.
Interesting. What about neck problems? Stiffness, pain?
Hay connects neck issues to stubbornness, inflexibility, refusing to see other perspectives.
Literally being stiff-necked.
Kind of, yeah. The new thought pattern is, I am flexible and flowing. I welcome other points of view. It is safe to see other viewpoints. It links mental flexibility with physical flexibility.
Okay. Moving down. Throat problems. Sore throats, losing your voice.
These, she relates to difficulty speaking up for yourself, maybe holding back words, suppressed anger, or even stifled creativity, the throat being the center of expression.
Makes intuitive sense. The affirmation.
It is safe for me to speak up for myself. I express myself freely and joyfully. I claim my own good. Empowering self-expression.
Let's talk about hands. What do they represent for Hay?
Our ability to handle things, to grasp ideas, to reach out and embrace experiences. Problems might suggest clinging too tightly, fear of letting go, or fear of new experiences.
So the new thought.
I choose to handle all my experiences with love and with joy and with ease. It's about your approach to engaging with life.
Heart problems. That feels like a big one.
Yeah. Hay links these to long-standing emotional problems, a lack of joy, maybe hardening the heart due to grief or fear, also belief in strain and stress.
And the antidote.
It's very direct. Joy, joy, joy. I lovingly allow joy to flow through my mind and body and experience, really focusing on bringing joy back in.
What about the stomach? Digestion issues, ulcers?
She suggests this indicates difficulty digesting new ideas or experiences. Fear, dread, anxiety about the new.
So like mental indigestion.
Exactly. The new thought pattern is, I digest life with ease. I assimilate the new easily and joyfully.
Okay, 2 more. Knee problems.
Knees, she connects to flexibility again, but also ego and pride. Inability to bend, stubbornness, fear of yielding.
And the thought pattern.
I am flexible and flowing. Forgiveness, understanding, compassion. I bend and flow with ease and all is well. Emphasizing yielding and forgiveness.
And finally, feet problems. What do our feet represent?
Our understanding of ourselves, of life, of others, also our movement forward. So fear of the future or not wanting to move forward can manifest here, according to Hay.
So the affirmation relates to understanding and safety.
Precisely. My understanding is clear, and I am willing to change with the times. I move forward in life with joy and ease. I am safe.
It's really vital to reiterate, looking at these examples, Hay presents them as starting points, right? Invitations for self-reflection.
Absolutely. Not definitive diagnoses, more like prompts. Does this resonate? Is there something here for me to explore? The value is in that personal inquiry.
Yeah, it encourages you to kind of connect the dots in your own life, potentially, using these ideas as a guide for inner work.
Exactly. Self-discovery.
So if we were to boil it all down, the main takeaway from this deep dive into Louise Hay's work is this really compelling argument for a profound link between our thoughts, our beliefs, our emotions, and what shows up in our bodies, our physical well-being.
Yeah, her core message is that by becoming aware of and actively shifting those negative or limiting mental patterns, we can actually support our own healing. We can play a role.
And as we've said, this is one significant perspective on that whole mind-body connection drawn from the sources you shared. There are, of course, many other ways to look at holistic health.
Definitely. But Hay's framework has clearly resonated with a lot of people looking to understand that interplay between mind and body. It's been very influential.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening to consider this week. Just take a moment, perhaps, to gently check in with your own body. Are there any areas of recurring discomfort or tension or maybe ongoing issues? And just wonder, could they possibly be reflecting some of the underlying emotional patterns or beliefs we've talked about today based on Hay's ideas? And if something resonates, what's one small, tiny shift in thinking you might be curious enough to experiment with?
Yeah, just a gentle exploration.
Exactly. And of course, feel free to explore Louise Hay's work further or any other perspectives on well-being that feel right for you.